I never believed in signs from the universe, until a stranger on the 6 train handed me exactly what I needed to hear, written on a crumpled piece of paper, at the exact moment my world was falling apart. My name is Margaret, and at 60 years old, I thought I had life figured out. I'd been riding the New York subway for over 4 decades, and to me, it was just transportation, a necessary evil to get from point A to point B. The underground maze of tunnels, the crush of bodies, the screech of metal on metal, it was all just background noise in my predictable Manhattan existence. But what I'm about to share with you will challenge everything you think you know about coincidence, about the universe listening, and about how small miracles can transform an ordinary commute into something extraordinary. It started on a Tuesday morning in October. I was heading to my job as a library assistant at the New York Public Library, a position I'd held for 15 years, long enough to feel invisible in my own life. The autumn air had that crisp bite that makes you pull your coat tighter, and I was running late after spending 20 minutes searching for my Metro card in the cluttered depths of my purse. As I descended into the Union Square station, my phone buzzed with a text that made my heart sink. "Mom, we need to talk. Can you call me tonight? It's about Dad's estate." My younger sister, Patricia, had been handling our father's affairs since he passed 6 months earlier, and every conversation seemed to bring more complications, more family tension, more reminders that I was now truly alone in the world. I slipped my phone back into my purse, feeling that familiar weight of anxiety settling in my chest. The 6 train pulled into the station with its usual screech and hiss, and I shuffled aboard with the morning rush crowd. Finding a seat near the back, I stared out the window at the darkness rushing past, wondering how my life had become so small, so predictable, so empty. But here's where things get interesting, where the first synchronicity appeared, though I wouldn't recognize it for what it was until much later. As the train pulled into 23rd Street, an elderly man with kind eyes and a worn paperback book sat down across from me. He was reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and I noticed because my therapist had recommended that same book months ago, a suggestion I'd dismissed as New Age nonsense. The man caught me looking and smiled. "Life-changing book," he said simply, holding it up. "Changed my perspective on everything." I nodded politely, but inside I was thinking, sure, another self-help guru promising easy answers. Still, something about his genuine smile made me ask, what's so special about it? "It taught me to pay attention," he said, just as the train pulled into my stop. "To really see what's happening around me. Amazing what you notice when you're actually present." I thanked him and got off, but his words echoed in my mind as I walked the familiar 3 blocks to work. Pay attention. Really see what's happening around me. It seemed so simple, yet I realized I'd been sleepwalking through my daily routine for months, maybe years. That evening, Patricia's call was as difficult as I'd expected. Our father had left behind more debt than assets, and the family home where I'd grown up would have to be sold. The cherry on top? She wanted me to handle cleaning out the house, a task that felt overwhelming given my father's tendency to keep everything, and my own fragile emotional state. "I can't do this alone," I told her, tears streaming down my face in my tiny Queens apartment. "You won't be alone," she said, but her voice sounded distant, distracted. "I'll help when I can." After we hung up, I sat in the silence of my apartment, feeling more isolated than ever. My father was gone, my sister lived 3 states away, and my closest friends seemed to have drifted away over the years. At 60, I felt like I was facing the biggest challenge of my life, with no support system, no guide, no idea how to even begin. That night, I lay awake thinking about the man on the train. Pay attention. Really see what's happening around me. What if I'd been missing something all along? What if there was more to life than just surviving each day? The next morning, I made a decision that would change everything. Instead of zoning out during my commute, I would try to be present, really present, and see what I noticed. The first thing I observed was how many people were reading. Not just scrolling through their phones, but actually reading books, newspapers, magazines. A woman in her 30s was highlighting passages in a book about manifestation. A teenager was sketching in a notebook, completely absorbed in his art. An older gentleman was writing what looked like poetry in a small leather journal. I realized I'd been surrounded by creativity, learning, and growth for years, but I'd never truly seen it. The subway wasn't just a metal tube carrying bodies. It was a moving library, a rolling classroom, a community of souls, all on their own journeys. But the real miracle happened on Thursday. I was feeling particularly low that morning. I'd spent the previous evening at my father's house, sorting through decades of accumulated belongings, and the task felt impossible. Every item held a memory, every room contained a story, and I was overwhelmed by the weight of it all. I'd called in sick to work, something I rarely did, and treated myself to a mid-morning ride to nowhere in particular. I boarded the 4 train at Union Square, choosing an empty car toward the back. As we pulled away from the station, I noticed a small piece of paper on the seat beside me. It looked like it had been torn from a notebook. Nothing special, just a scrap of white paper with handwriting on it. Normally, I would have ignored it, maybe even thrown it away. But remembering the man's words about paying attention, I picked it up. In careful handwriting, someone had written, "Today, I am grateful for the courage to let go of what no longer serves me. I trust that the universe is guiding me towards something better." I stared at those words, feeling my heart pound. This was exactly what I needed to hear, at exactly the moment I needed to hear it. The coincidence was so precise, so perfectly timed, that I couldn't dismiss it as random chance. I looked around the car, wondering who might have written it, but I was alone except for a woman sleeping in the far corner. Had someone left this message intentionally? Was it meant for me to find? Or was I just desperate enough to see meaning where none existed? As the train pulled into the next station, more passengers got on, and I carefully folded the paper and put it in my purse. For the rest of the day, I found myself returning to those words. Courage to let go. Trust that the universe is guiding me. That evening, I approached my father's house with a different mindset. Instead of trying to save everything, I began asking myself, what would it look like to let go of what no longer serves me? What if I trusted that I was being guided towards something better? The process became surprisingly liberating. I kept the items that truly mattered, photos, a few of his books, his favorite coffee mug, and let go of the rest. With each bag I donated or threw away, I felt lighter, as if I was clearing space not just in the house, but in my own soul. But the synchronicities were just beginning. The following Monday, I was reading the note again on my morning commute when the woman sitting next to me glanced over. "That's beautiful," she said. "Did you write that?" I explained how I'd found it, and she smiled knowingly. "I'm a manifestation coach," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Sarah, and I have to tell you, finding messages like that is rarely an accident. The universe has a way of delivering exactly what we need when we need it." Sarah was African American, probably in her 40s, with an energy that seemed to light up the entire subway car. She was heading to her office in Midtown, where she helped people transform their lives through conscious creation and vibrational alignment. "I've never believed in that stuff," I admitted, feeling slightly embarrassed. "That's okay," she laughed. "The universe doesn't require your belief to work. It just requires your attention. And it sounds like you're finally paying attention." She handed me her business card. "If you're curious about learning more, I'm giving a free workshop next week on attracting abundance through gratitude practices. You might find it interesting." As she got off at her stop, I realized that this encounter couldn't be coincidence either. In the span of a week, I'd found a mysterious note about letting go and trusting the universe, and then met someone who could help me understand what was happening. The signs were too clear to ignore. I attended Sarah's workshop, and it opened my eyes to a whole new way of thinking about my life. She taught us about raising your vibration through gratitude, about using visualization to create positive change, and about recognizing the synchronicities that guide us toward our highest good. Your thoughts create your reality, she explained to our small group. When you shift your focus from what's wrong to what's possible, you literally change your experience of the world. I started practicing what she taught me. Every morning on the subway, instead of focusing on my problems, I would mentally list 3 things I was grateful for. Instead of seeing my commute as wasted time, I began viewing it as an opportunity for spiritual awakening, a moving meditation where I could practice being present and open to guidance. The results were subtle at first, but profound. I noticed more beauty in my everyday life, the way morning light filtered through the subway windows, the kindness of strangers offering their seats to elderly passengers, the incredible diversity of human experience all around me. But the most amazing transformation happened when I started intentionally sending out positive energy during my commute. I would silently send blessings to other passengers. May you find peace today. May you feel loved. May you discover something beautiful. It sounds simple, maybe even silly, but it shifted everything. Instead of feeling isolated in a crowd, I felt connected to the universal flow of love and compassion. And then the miracles started multiplying. One morning, I was reading a book about the power of intention when the woman next to me struck up a conversation. She was a social worker who was starting a support group for people dealing with family estates and end-of-life transitions. She gave me her card and invited me to attend. Another day, I was practicing visualization, imagining myself living with more joy and purpose, when a man across from me mentioned that the library where he worked was looking for someone to help with their community outreach programs. It was exactly the kind of meaningful work I'd been secretly longing for. The synchronicities became a daily occurrence. I would think about needing help with something, and someone would appear with exactly the resource I needed. I would wonder about a particular question, and I'd overhear a conversation that provided the answer. I would feel lonely, and a friendly stranger would strike up a conversation that lifted my spirits. My sister Patricia noticed the change during one of our phone calls. "You sound different," she said. "Happier, more alive." I tried to explain what I'd been experiencing, but it sounded almost magical when I said it out loud. "I think I've been learning to work with the law of attraction," I told her. "I've been practicing gratitude and positive thinking, and amazing things keep happening." Patricia was skeptical. She's always been the practical one, but she couldn't argue with the results. I had successfully cleared out our father's house, found a new job that fulfilled me, and built a supportive community of friends through Sarah's workshops and the support group. 6 months after finding that first note, I had a moment of quantum manifestation that still gives me chills. I was riding the 6 train to work, feeling deeply grateful for how much my life had changed, when I noticed a young woman crying quietly in the seat across from me. She looked to be in her early 30s, professionally dressed, but clearly struggling with something painful. Following an impulse that I now recognize as universal guidance, I pulled out a small notebook and wrote, "You are stronger than you know. Trust that you are being guided towards something better. This difficult moment is preparing you for a beautiful breakthrough." I folded the paper, and as I got off at my stop, I quietly placed it on the seat beside her. Through the window, I watched her discover the note, saw her face light up with surprise and hope, and felt a profound sense of completion. I had become part of the universal network of love and support that had carried me through my own transformation. The cycle was complete. I had received exactly what I needed when I needed it, and now I was able to give that same gift to someone else. That's when I truly understood what the man with the Eckhart Tolle book had meant about paying attention. The universe is constantly communicating with us, offering guidance, support, and signs of encouragement. But we have to be present enough to notice, open enough to receive, and grateful enough to recognize the miracles that surround us every day. My daily subway commute is now my favorite part of the day. It's my moving meditation, my portable classroom, my opportunity to practice creating my dream life, one grateful thought at a time. I carry small pieces of paper with encouraging messages, and I trust my intuition about when and where to leave them. I've become what Sarah calls a conscious creator, someone who deliberately participates in the universal flow of love and abundance. Some people might call it coincidence, or confirmation bias, or wishful thinking. But I know what I've experienced. I know that when I aligned my thoughts and energy with gratitude, love, and positive intention, my entire reality shifted. I know that synchronicities are real, and that the universe is always listening, always responding, always offering us exactly what we need to grow and thrive. The law of attraction isn't about getting everything you want. It's about becoming aware of the abundance that already exists in your life. It's about raising your vibration to match the frequency of love, gratitude, and possibility. It's about trusting that you are supported, guided, and loved beyond measure. At 60, I've learned that it's never too late to awaken to the magic that surrounds us. It's never too late to start paying attention. It's never too late to become the kind of person who notices miracles and participates in creating them for others. The subway is still noisy, still crowded, still a challenge to navigate. But now I see it as a sacred space where souls connect, where universal love flows freely, and where small miracles happen every single day. All you have to do is pay attention. If you've ever experienced a synchronicity that changed your life, or if you believe that the universe is constantly sending us signs of love and support, I'd love to hear from you. Comment below and share your story. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if this story inspired you to start noticing the miracles in your own daily life, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need a reminder that they're not alone in this journey. Sometimes the most powerful transformations begin with the smallest acts of attention and gratitude. The universe is listening. The question is, are you?